Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started with the transcript that we've been working on regarding a new business, it sounds like. A new business that opened and closed pretty quickly. All right, and we will start with the plaintiff attorney. Ready? Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. What garage? There were 2 garages in Huntington Beach where I kept mostly fixtures. How much inventory are we talking about as far as the amount that was moved out of Seacliff? In value, a couple of $100 to $1,000. Nobody wanted it. It wasn't worth anything. It was picked over and tossed around. There was very, very little left. Some of it went to the garage, and some of it went to the pharmacy. Which pharmacy? LA Pharmacy. I'd say about a couple $100 worth. 9. What happened to the balance of that went to the garage? I had a garage sale that raised nothing. There really wasn't much left in there. It was finally getting dirty, broken, and busted. I gave it to charity. Who was that? It was a church organization in Long Beach. Do you know the name of it? I don't know of it offhand. I could probably get it. How much money did the garage sale take in? About $90. What kind of financial condition were you in at the time that Seacliff folded up? I had nothing. What kind of assets did you have at that time? I had nothing. I don't think I had a car at that time. I think I had a car that was worth a couple $100. No interest in any realty? No. What about debts at that time? I think there were about $394,000. Would that be reflected on the bankruptcy petition? I think so. You have to remember, if I may interject, the bankruptcy petition to some extent was 6 months or so later. Do you know how much the debts were actually in September? Do you have any idea what the debts were? I think it was around that figure. Sid Kane did a couple of appraisals of inventory at Seacliff Pharmacy shortly before it closed, didn't he? I am sorry. Would you state the question again? Read the question back to Mr. Prussell, please. At Seacliff, he didn't appraise anything at Seacliff. He only did one appraisal. I didn't mean to say a couple of appraisals either. Did Sid Kane appraise your inventory at one of your entities sometime in 1999? If I may interject, I think he made the appraisal, and maybe I'm wrong, after the first of the year. That would have been 99, I think. I think Sid Kane tried to give an appraisal. I will be honest with you. Excuse me, may I approach the bench? Yes. We can correct the record to the extent that we are all under the misrepresentation that the pharmacy closed in 1999. Seacliff's doors closed during the same period of time, but in 1998. So basically, September of 98 was the end of Seacliff Pharmacy. Right. Then in 99, there were 2 new corporate entities established by you. No, that's incorrect also. It was 98. I am going to show you a couple of documents of what appears to be articles of incorporation of Johnner Beauty World Inc. Was that a corporation set up by you on or about August 3rd? As far as the days, you know, that is correct. Alrighty, back to our firefighter. And the plaintiff is questioning. Here we go. And the EMTs from the ambulance? No. Would you have talked to the driver of the vehicle that struck the patient? I would not have. And if there had been witnesses around or bystanders, would it be your custom and practice to speak to any of them for any reason? Yes. And what reason would you usually speak to them? But it wouldn't be my role to do that. That would be my partner's role as the documenter and radio person. Okay, so that would be Robert Sherwood's role? Yes. Do you know if he in fact talked to anybody? I don't know. Is that something that would generally be documented anywhere on any of the 3 reports or forms that we have here today? Just under the history, or if there's any comments down below, it could have been documented there as well. And the comment section is where the PQRST is on the right side of the form here, or excuse me, the left side of the form down in the middle, where it says patient found laying face down in the middle of the street. Yes, patient. What's that right before LOC? Patient, and then there's an S with a line through it. Without loss of consciousness. Would that be, or that's what I interpret it as, but I didn't write it. Okay. Is it typical that you would try to obtain a medical history if possible? And again, I'm looking back at the top 1/3 of the report. Yes. The PCR report. Yes. And since nothing is checked here, does that mean you weren't able to obtain it, or or she had no history? No, we were unable to obtain it. Okay, and again, that's because of her condition at the time, her state of mind, more than likely, and that was the same would be true of the section right beside that says meds unknown. Yes, so you wouldn't have strike that. If she had been taking any prescription medications or anything like that, you would have noted it in that section if she had been able to tell you. Is that correct? Yes. Underneath that, it says PMD. What does that stand for? Private medical doctor. Now, if we go a little bit farther down, I guess down and over to the left-hand side, we've already touched briefly on the LOC section, and underneath that you've checked the ETOH odor, and that's something you personally noted, correct? Yes, and you noted that obviously from the patient and not anybody else around the scene, correct? Yes. Repetitive, that's checked under there, would refer to the repetitive questioning. Yes, and it says VIOL/COMB. Is that violent/combative? Yes. And you circled the combative section, correct? My partner did. Yes, your partner did. Okay. How is this report generally filled out? Is he sitting there with it and you're giving information, and then simultaneously, while you're rendering aid, he's completing the form, or is it done after the fact? This report was probably done that way. Not all reports are done the same. Depending on the level of treatment that the patient needs, my partner will help me treat the patient as well. If the patient doesn't need hardly any treatment at all, I will take the report and the radio with me in the ambulance, and he'll drive behind in the medic van and bring it to the hospital. On this call, he did ride with me in the ambulance, so he continued the documentation, continued the radio while I treated the patient. And who would have driven the van then? The engine company. All right, that will conclude our Q&A practice. Thank you.